Hi everybody, this is Zoe and here's my literacy lesson plan. The context for this lesson plan would be for an English Language Arts class for grade 10. We'd be looking at the text Looking for Alaska by John Green. It's fiction and it would be part of a unit on novel comprehension. The big idea that students would gain from this lesson would be the awareness of how word choice and small details add up to evoke certain emotions and reactions in literature and in their own lives. The standards that apply to this lesson are listed here. What I'm mainly focusing on is connotative and denotative meanings of words in the text, and also how the words in the text affect summary and theme. And I would also use summary to help students think about the words and how they affect the meaning of the text. So the lesson outcome is, as a result of this lesson, students will be able to compare and contrast the emotions of characters to their own emotional response through close reading and summarizing. They will focus on the specific words that evoke these emotions. The challenges of using this text would be, first of all, that it could be challenged by parents or the school for adult content. It does have some scenes that have sex, drugs, alcohol, rebellious teenage behavior, and the text itself might be above some students' reading levels. And if students don't have much experience with sex, drugs, or alcohol, or rebellious teenage behavior, which in an ideal world they wouldn't, but if they don't, they might not be able to relate to this in a meaningful way. So before reading, I would have students write down words that make them feel happy, sad, mad, confused, or any other strong emotion. Then as a class, we could come up with synonyms for the words that the students listed and ask if the synonyms make them feel the same emotion or a different emotion. After this discussion of words, I would segue into the lesson and ask students to keep this discussion in mind while they look at the words in the reading. So during the reading of the section titled 47 Days Before, I would ask them to focus on the emotions of sadness and happiness. This would be silent reading time in class. This section is rather short, so most students would be able to complete it in enough time. And I would have them use sticky notes to write down the words that they thought were important for characters' emotions, and also words or phrases that gave them emotions of happiness or sadness. And I've divided the text up into two sections with a red line in between them because the section basically has two different scenes, and in between the scenes I would ask them to partner up with their neighbor or somebody who's sitting close to them and compare their sticky notes for similar ideas or different ideas that they hadn't thought of or words that they might have missed, and also to summarize what's going on in the chapters so that everybody's on the same page and knows what we're talking about and what's going on. And I would have them repeat this step after they finished the second half of the chapter as well. And then after we finished reading and they finished discussing as a group for the second time, as a whole class group, I would do the paint chip activity with the students' selected words and phrases from the chapter. At the end of the class, I would then give them the assignment to respond to these questions. Did your emotions match those of the characters? What do the emotions of the characters tell you about the situation the characters are in? And here's my example of the paint chip activity and some questions to consider during the discussion. How would a different word change the meaning of the sentence or the chapter? Do the synonyms mean the same thing as the original word? Why do you think the author chose the particular word that he did? So the words that I chose out of the reading selection were possibilities and overwrought. And I then listed 3 synonyms that fit into those words. And after looking at the text, these synonyms drastically change the meaning, and I think that students would be able to see that with help as a class discussion. And then so that at the end of the class, I would have students fill out an exit slip to be handed in to me as they're leaving class. And I would ask them to considering the emotions the characters felt and the emotions you felt as a reader, what are some possible themes in the chapter? And here's where I tie in my supporting standard of how summarization and theme is useful in looking at words. And the way I would differentiate this lesson is, of course, the differences in small group, whole class, or individual learning. And this would help students that thrive in a group setting and also students that do best on their own. The assignment at the end of the class would offer the most differentiation for students. They'll all be responding to the same questions, but the way that they respond is largely up to them. They can respond with a paragraph format or in other ways, such as poetry, lyrics, drawings, or photo collages. Any written work can be handwritten or typed, whatever they prefer. And on my lesson plan, I also listed this hypothetical lesson with an English language learner. In this situation, I think it would be helpful to allow this student to write in his or her own native language if they knew it and if they preferred that. And as long as they were able to have a discussion with me and explain their thoughts, I think that would be really helpful for them to feel validated in their own language. So that's my lesson plan. Thanks for watching.